Throughout time, roller coasters have come and gone. Only some become legends for their intensity and thrills. Each and every year, coaster fans like you venture to the parks, searching for that one special ride that stands out above the rest. You submitted your rankings, and now it's time to reveal the group of elite roller coasters that you have voted as the best of the best. COASTER-net Uncut is proud to present the 2023 Coaster Rumble.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of the Thrilling 32 Coaster Rumble. We're talking about steel coasters this time, Andy. Last time out, Last time out, we talked about the wood coasters. We talked some nonsense at the beginning. Thrilling 32 history, second episode ever where we're both wearing Raptor shirts. You heard that gag last time. Andy was ice cold with his predictions at the beginning for the wood side, but he heated up a little bit. So we're rolling right into this show after that one here in recording. So I'm expecting big things out of you.
I don't know about this one because we're gonna hit a brick wall here with this first group.
Yeah, you.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Yeah, should we just jump right in here?
Yeah, just jump right in. Let's do it.
Okay, let's jump right in.
We know.
All right. You guys know what's going on. You know what's going on. We're getting down from 8 to 4, and then ranking those 4 to get down to our final 4 coaster from each of the 4 groups tonight. One point each for correct selections in this first round, and then 2 points each for the correct ranking position. No relative points, no carry down errors, all that nonsense. You guys know better than that now. This is the third year of the Rumble. You guys know what's going on.
Yeah, we're not a bunch of virgins on prom night here, so let's go.
Oh boy. Okay, we're talking about the Astro World group, and if you recall from the selection show a couple weeks ago, we got Fury 325, we've got Iron Rattler, we've got Leviathan, we've got The Ride to Happiness from Belgium. We've got Schwerdeskaarnen. We've got Untamed from Wallaby Holland. We've got X2, and we've got Zadra from Energylandia in Poland. And
okay.
We said in the wood coaster group that there were many people who were very, very upset with us at how challenging the wood bracket was. And if you were watching last time through and were like, crap, these wood coasters were really, really difficult. Well, we're here at the hard part because the wood coasters have been easy to this point, I think.
Honest to God, like.
I mean, there's people looking at, Zadra to maybe win this thing this year. There's people looking at Ride to Happiness to be, at least the top 10 coaster. Fury 325 and Leviathan are past champions. Untamed has been a past runner-up, very, very close to edging out Steel Vengeance. Iron Rattler has been a top 5 ride in the past. X2 has been right there. And Schwerdeskaarnen, a little bit of a wild card. Don't really know what's going on there. It was in a couple years ago. Hasn't been in the last couple of years. Where is Schwerdeskaarnen on this list?
So honestly, let's cut the shit and you can pretty much take out Leviathan as much as I hate to, Iron Rattler as much as I hate to, and Schwerdeskaarnen. In any other group, many of those rides would be in consideration, but in this group, I'm not so sure. Iron Rattler's the only. Well, I don't even know because Zadra and Ride to Happiness are so. It's so hard to get a valid ranking on them from previous years.
Ride to Happiness and Zadra. I mean, last year was kind of the first year that we saw them, right? And I predicted last year that Zadra's ranking might be a good indication of where we might end up seeing Iron Gwazi, and I think I ought to take that back because I don't think Iron Gwazi is going to be 16. I think the question for Zadra is if it's moving up this year and how far it's moving up this year. And I mean, Ride to Happiness was number 20, which isn't a shabby start. The question is if that right, because this group is really, really stacked. I mean, Iron Rattler.
I always forget how high Iron Rattler is. Is that
it's
13?
Perennial top 10, pretty much.
Yeah, it's in 13. It's been on the slower decline. Leviathan on the slower decline as well. That's at 15. Um, so really, it's how much do you believe in Zadra and Right to Happiness?
Well, and the thing with Iron Rattler to me is that Iron Rattler slipping out of the top 10 the last couple years isn't necessarily because people are ranking it lower. It's really just because we've had the addition of rides like
Yeah,
Untamed and Steel
yeah.
Vengeance and Velocicoaster, and Sky Rush has come back up there, but even Terran is fairly new. The Maverick Resurgence. So, that I don't think that's a reflection of Iron Rattler for the most
So
part.
so I think you got Fury, Untamed, X2. I think those are your three solid ones. How they're ranked, I have no idea. But those are your three solid ones. And then you got to pick out of that group of four, one. I
Are you knocking out? You're knocking out Schwertis right? So
I
you're
am. I don't
okay.
have any faith in that ride.
So you're left with the other four. I mean, so my gut reaction, based on just what I had been hearing from the voters and the participants, is if you're going with those other three, I think the it's almost obvious to me has to be Zadra because some people are talking about it being like a top 5 ride, and people are comparing it to Iron Gwazi and Steel Vengeance.
Well, I'm willing to set aside Leviathan at some point and say it's a 3 ride race between Rattler, Right to Happiness, and Zadra.
Okay. And Time Traveler isn't in the Thrilling 32 this year, but it's been
No.
in the past, and it's always been pretty highly ranked in this poll. And from all accounts, Ride to Happiness is a more intense, much more out of control, and better Time Traveler. So when you think about that, Ride to Happiness being in this poll makes a whole lot of sense. And the question is just how far can it go?
I'm going to go with Iron Rattler just based on previous history. 13's a solid number. And for Right to Happiness or Zadra to jump from, 20 or whatever Zadra was respectively, Zadra's even lower, right? What was Zadra at, you said?
Zadra was at 16
Oh, Zadra
last
was
year.
higher.
Yeah.
So that's still a big, yeah, Zadra. I don't know. I'm going to go
And Iron Rattler was 13.
Good old Texas. You can't outvote Texas. Except in roller coasters, usually. So.
All right. Moving on from the Astro World group, we have Fury 325. We have Untamed. We have X2, which I think some people might have had a little bit of a question mark by X2.
I don't know why.
I don't know why either, but I think some people maybe wanted to put both Ride to Happiness and Zadra through.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe.
So, I think some people were debating between those two rides, the fourth, and decided, okay, I'm just going to knock out X2 and go with both of them and hedge my bets, maybe. Because some people
a poor decision, by the way.
Apparently. Well, a poor decision, as it seems. But I think some people, I heard some people talking about this, saying, you know what, I know X2 isn't going to win because it's not going to outrank Fury or Untamed, but because Ride to Happiness and Zadra are both big unknowns, I'm going to keep X2 out. I'm going to take the hit on that point, and I'm going to put both of the others in to hedge my bets that one of those two is going to be in, and then maybe I have a little bit of a tougher decision making round two. But again, like you said, that proved not to be
not a wise decision on your part.
Not an effective strategy because Fury, Untamed, and
so
X2.
Now we know that one of the two of them's gone. We know that Zadra or Right to Happiness is gone, which is going to be a heartbreaker for some. So let's see.
Well, either one's going to be a heartbreaker for some, right? So
could be both still because Iron Rattler is still on the board.
Just about to say could be a heartbreaker for both, right? All right, the fourth ride, moving on from the Astro World group. Let the chaos begin. It's Ride to Happiness. Moving on. So Leviathan is out. Iron Rattler is out. Schwertis is out. But Zadra, not even out of the group stage, Andy. Some people expecting this to be a top 5 ride.
Yeah, some people are idiots too. So, and I've watched stuff on Zadra, and I guess I just don't get it. Like I don't get it. Like it looks like a bigger Goliath to me. Like I don't get it. I don't know. Like there's some stuff at the end. I just like in the scheme of RMCs, I don't feel like Zadra does enough different stuff for it to be like, oh my God. Like, yeah, if you've never been on an RMC before, cool. Like, yeah, that's gonna be your number one. But at some point, like, okay, like, I don't know. It doesn't impress me with my critical thinking abilities.
Okay, well, and again, could this possibly be a reflection of, or a projection, I guess, of where Iron Gwazi ends up?
I'm not ready to have that discussion yet.
Okay, you'd rather wait for another,
Yeah, I'm
two
not
slides?
I'm not gonna.
Okay, we'll have that discussion in a couple of slides. So
Yeah,
now we've got
exactly, right.
to rank Fury 325, Ride to Happiness, Untamed, and X2.
Oh.
And I think the initial reaction here is you've got two groups of two that you have to decide with, right?
Yeah.
You've got Fury and Untamed is a group of two, and Ride to Happiness and X2 is a group of two, and you
Yeah.
have to decide the order amongst each of those two groups of two. I think that's the approach here, right?
Yeah, and we already know that Right to Happiness is jumped, so there's really no way to rank that second group besides pure conjecture. Like,
Right.
there's no way to rank that. It's really hard to rank the first group of Fury and Untamed. I'd probably give the edge to Fury, but you're talking about Fury at 3, Untamed at 5. Like,
yeah, and I mean there was a time not in the not so distant past where Untamed was
almost
nearly a
won the
champion,
whole damn poll.
nearly a champion. Fury has been a champion though. Untamed has not.
True. I would probably
And
give the edge to Fury. I would probably
so
go Fury, Untamed, and then who the hell knows? Like, guess.
so Fury was 3 and Untamed was 5 last year. If we go back to 2020,
Right to Happiness jumping over X2 at 7 seems like a really high jump.
it does. It does.
Seems like a high jump to me. So I'm gonna go Fury, Untamed, X2, Right to Happiness.
Yeah. So that's what you're going with there. So Fury was 3, Untamed was 5 last year. Year before, Fury 3, but Untamed 4.
Yeah.
So Fury was ahead by 1. If we go back to 2019, which was the first year of Untamed, we had Untamed 2 and Fury 3. So Fury's been 3 the last 3 years, which is interesting because when Untamed dropped below it, Expedition G-Force became number 2 in 2020, and then last year with Velocicoaster beating Steel Vengeance, Fury was 3, and it was above both Untamed and G-Force. So it's almost like Fury has like solidified at that number 3 spot, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I just feel like I feel like Untamed had that first boost for being the first year and whatever, and now it's kind of settled in. That's what I feel like. I don't know.
Okay, so now let's get down to business here. So we've got to rank these, right? So in the number 4 position is X2.
Oh. Okay.
Are
Because then, yeah, how high does Right to Happiness go then?
right. In the number 3 position is Ride to Happiness. So,
Okay.
so it's not that high.
Not that high. So not nonsense. It's not winning any championships this day.
Nope, not yet. So now we've got Fury and Untamed. Those are the 2 rides. One of them is going to the final 4 out of the Astro World group, and the ride going to the final 4 is Untamed from Wallaby Holland. Upset over Fury. I did for the first time since Untamed's debut year in 2019. Untamed is higher than Fury. Fury's been higher the last 2 years. So now we've got Untamed into the final 4. And like we saw in the wood bracket last time out, the very first group of the night, I think is causing some heartburn.
Yeah, that one's tough. That one's tough. That was tough. Okay, let's move on because there's nothing really to say besides you guessed wrong. Sorry.
Well, yeah, that's right. But again, this is
or you guessed right. Congrats.
Well, if you did guess right, congratulations.
Yeah.
You know what? Just out of curiosity, I'm gonna go to the poll. I'm gonna go to the spreadsheet real quick. I want to see what some people have here. Just out of curiosity, I want to see how people have some of these ranked. Oh, there's a lot of Fury 325s in that number one position. Oh boy. So safe to say, and where that really hurts you is now you've gotten at least two of them wrong,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because nobody didn't have Fury in the four.
Yeah.
So all right, so now we've got to move on to the Expo Land group, which was just a giant mishmash of a whole
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. We have Asian Ica, we have Formula Rosa, we have Maverick, we have Nemesis, Pantheon, Taiga, Twisted Colossus, and the defending champion Jurassic World Velocicoaster. So there's a whole bunch of uncertainty here. I mean, Nemesis has always been very, very strong. We've got four Intamin Blitz coasters. One's brand new, one's pretty new, and has no history in this poll. One's a defending champ, one's Maverick, and the other one's Maverick, right? And then we've got two rides that we just really have no idea about in Asian Ica and Formula Rosa.
Yeah, I think you can put money on Maverick and Velocicoaster. I think you can safely knock out Asian Ica and Formula Rosa.
Okay.
I don't know about Asian Ica, but I just feel that the Japanese coasters never do well in this poll. That you see them show up, and then it's just like, okay, they're happy to be here. And I think Formula Rosa is probably of that same thread as well. So then you got to decide between Nemesis, Taiga, and Pantheon. Taiga and Pantheon, you have no idea about because we don't have valid rankings for either of them, right?
Yep, right.
So, and then Nemesis, we said, came in at 11. We see Nemesis on the slide down. I think from where it started kind of high, and then it's been inching its way down for whatever reason. So it's really a matter of how much do you believe in things like Taiga and Pantheon. And then you have Twisted Colossus there, which is always that California wild card.
And Twisted Colossus was only number 14 last year. Yeah. So I mean it was pretty high.
So you got to figure out if Pantheon is gonna it's gonna be, and then Taiga, you have I don't know.
I mean, if you just assume that if you just go off of last year's, you have Nemesis, and Nemesis was number 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Nemesis 11 and Twisted Colossus 14. So in the midst of all of this, you've got that to consider. They're borderline.
So you got that group of four that Nemesis and Twisted Colossus are top 15 rides. So you got to figure out, is Pantheon and Taiga going to fit in? I feel like Pantheon's probably going to fit into the top four here. I'm not so convinced about Taiga, but I don't know which coaster I would put over it. Maybe I'd go Pantheon Nemesis. I feel like Pantheon has enough. I've heard enough people talk about it. Enough people like it for it to probably place fairly well in this poll.
I think I would agree. For me, when I looked at this, to me, the question is it all four Intamin Blitz coasters, or am I putting Nemesis in over Taiga? I think is honest, the one.
When you put up Taiga on the screen was the first time I ever heard of it. So.
Well, and then when you look at it, it's like, oh my God, it's a blue Maverick.
Yeah, right. It's a blue Maverick.
I mean, to me, my debate would have been: am I putting in Taiga and all four Blitz coasters, or am I putting in Nemesis because I don't think it's all four Blitz coasters and Nemesis is the one, and Taiga is the one I'm least sure about because it's the Europe, it's new, maybe it's just barely in with the ridership.
That was Pantheon didn't do any. I just feel maybe Twisted Colossus in there, but I just feel like Pantheon, there's been enough talk of Pantheon.
Right. I mean, Pantheon certainly seems to have the ridership to have a good ranking and the good reviews too. So.
I'll go Nemesis over Taiga. I think it's, and I would also say Nemesis over Twisted Colossus too, even though that's a debate too. Nemesis over Twisted Colossus.
It absolutely is if you look at past years.
Yeah.
All right. So Asian Ica and Formula Rosa are both out.
Yeah.
For sure. Maverick is in. Jurassic World Velocicoaster is in. The last two rides in are Pantheon and Taiga. Oh. It's a clean sweep. break out the brooms, everybody. It's a clean sweep for the Intamin Blitz coasters in the Expo Land group. We got Maverick, Pantheon, Taiga, and Jurassic World Velocicoaster now.
Danny, we're getting to the point where it's like talking about your top 10 and there's 25 coasters in your top 10.
You make fun of me all the time for having 25 rides in my top 10, and all of a sudden in the steel bracket this year, it seems to have come to fruition.
How? Unless there's a drastic shift in the rankings, which I'm excited to see. There's 25 rides in the top 10 right now, so I don't know.
So let me ask you this: we saw Lightning Rod and Voyage in the last group. We saw Lightning Rod get knocked out. I mean, obviously because Voyage is a pretty good ride, multi-time defending champ. Any chance that Velocicoaster is not the group winner here?
No.
Well, because think about it. Last year, we've seen a lot of rides who win in their first year, except for Steel Vengeance. How many rides in the past have won their first year and then not won the following year? All of them that were not named Steel Vengeance, right? I mean, Lightning Rod didn't win in its second year. It fell down. Outlaw Run did not win in its second year. Fury 325 didn't even win in its second year. Expedition G-Force came out and beat it. So
your point is not lost on me. However, your point, I don't, because the only realistic threat I see of Velocicoaster is Maverick in this group, and I just don't think Maverick has the legs to actually overtake. People still rave about Velocicoaster, so it's not like there's been a great turn of opinion on Velocicoaster.
So Maverick was number 6 last year, and Velocicoaster was the winner. So you're not predicting a huge slide from Velocicoaster.
I'm not predicting a huge upset. I'm not predicting that Velocicoaster is going to win this whole thing. I think we have to see how it all shakes out at the end, and what the matchups are. But
you're just not picking.
It's not happening right now.
It's not happening right now. Okay, that's fair. All right. Well then, do you are you putting Velocicoaster Maverick 1-2?
Yes.
Okay, and then so if you're breaking this again into 2 groups of 2, what's your second group?
Well, I think this one's. I think to me it's a little more clear. I'd go Velocicoaster, Maverick, Pantheon, Taiga is how I.
Okay. All right.
Because I'm surprised Taiga got in, so I would think Pantheon would do better than that.
Okay. All right. That's very fair then. All right. So the ranking for the Expo Land group in the number 4 spot is Pantheon.
What?
In the number 3 spot is Maverick.
What?
Wait a minute. What? Maverick's number 3.
Oh, wait. Wait a minute. The ride that I think wasn't even going to get in just beat Maverick?
Yes, it did. And we don't know that it hasn't beaten Velocicoaster yet either.
Well, we don't know that either. Is it a new ride? Is Taiga new?
I think it opened in 2019.
Okay, so no.
It's the first time it's in this poll though.
Yeah, but still,
Hold on.
It's not
Taiga, 2019. Wow, I'm impressed with myself that I knew that.
Danny Miller tooting his own horn. Who would have expected that on the show?
I wasn't sure that I was right there. All right, so now we've got Jurassic World, Velocicoaster, and Taiga for a final 4 spot to go up against Untamed. Geez, this is really heavy weight now. Moving on to the final 4 is Jurassic World Velocicoaster. The defending champion does live to fight another day. You were correct in that, but you were not correct about pretty much anything else. Because Taiga's number 2, Maverick is number 3, and Pantheon is number 4 in this group. So we've got Untamed and Jurassic World Velocicoaster going at it in the final 4.
Cool. That's okay. Well, that's a matchup there, and that's a shocking development there as well. So I don't know what to say to that, to be completely honest, besides people like blue better than red. I don't know.
Is that what it is?
Yeah, I don't know. Is blue a better color than red? I don't know, but That's surprising to me because I don't know. Whatever. I guess I'd have to watch a POV of that one.
Okay. All right. Well, we're halfway home tonight, and we've got to get to the Ocean View Park group here next. We've got Helix, Intimidator 305, Iron Gwazi,
Oh,
Millennium Force, Phantom's Revenge, Steel Vengeance, Terran, and Twisted Timbers. And if you hadn't rage quitted at this point in the selection show and you got to this group, this is where you did. This is where everybody who was left had had enough.
well, I might have had enough at the end of this one too, if what I see happening might happen. I might be exiting the program fairly soon here.
You don't sound like you're very confident in Mr. Steel Vengeance over there.
No, I'm not. I'm very confident in Steel Vengeance being the best ride in the world. I'm not confident in the Thuzies knowing that fact. Because
okay,
people are
so
always looking.
obviously, you're looking at Iron Gwazi to pull off that upset, right?
Well, okay, so you got Vengeance and Gwazi. Let's do
yeah,
part one first.
Okay.
And then I think you can drop Phantom. I think you can drop Millennium. I think you could drop Helix. Helix has been bouncing around lately, right?
Yeah, Helix has kind of been all over the place.
Yeah, Helix was 18 last year, so whatever. So then you got Timbers and Terran. And I-305. I-305 has been on a steady march down.
Well, yeah, I mean, I-305 is a former champion. It was still number 10 last year.
Yeah, but that's a steady march down.
Terran was number 9. Twisted Timbers was 12.
So they're all right there.
They're all right there. So if you're going Iron Gwazi Vengeance, right? Then
it's a crapshoot for the last two.
Yeah, and Helix was number 18, so it's a little bit farther down. But Helix has also been in the top 10 multiple times. So the question is like, is Helix kind of like moving around a little bit? I don't know if you can rule out Helix, to be honest, especially with what we just saw in the last group with all those rides of such a similar style.
True. I would go Vengeance Gwazi, Terran Timbers.
So you're going Vengeance Gwazi.
Well, Vengeance Gwazi, Terran I-305.
You're stuck on the Battle of King's Dominion for that last spot, aren't you?
Right? Like I can't make a decision there between Terran. Yeah, and then you said I don't know. Yeah, I'm gonna go Vengeance Gwazi. Terran Timbers, because I don't like I-305.
This is fantastic.
Isn't it?
Fantastic. All right. All right. So out of the Ocean View Park group, yes, we've got Steel Vengeance and Iron Gwazi both moving on. So you were kind of going back and forth between what was it? Terran, Twisted Timbers,
and I-305.
Okay. Twisted Timbers is in. Terran is not.
What? Okay.
And Intimidator 305 is also not in.
What?
So it's either Millennium Force, Phantom's Revenge, or Helix.
Well, one would assume it's Helix at that point. Can one assume anymore? I don't know.
Well, last year Helix was 18
and Millennium Force was 23. Is this the renaissance of Millennium Force? Is this what's happening here?
Remember the one year Millennium Force lost to Phantom's Revenge and was number 17, and the next year it was in the top 5.
Yeah.
So is this another Millennium Force resurgence?
No.
No, it's not. Helix is the 4th ride going through. How about that? So we've got Helix, Iron Gwazi, Steel Vengeance, and Twisted Timbers.
Why were you guys asking for last year's results?
You would have been better off without them, folks.
just go it alone at some point, because this is not helping. It's not helping at all. Oh my goodness.
No, so I mean, if you went off of last year's results and you threw Iron Gwazi in there, at this point, your ranking would be either Steel Vengeance or Iron Gwazi, and then you would have had Karen and then I-305. It would have led you astray on 2 of the 4 rides in this group already.
Well, I don't even want to talk about the ranking because it's going to irritate me, I think.
Dude, we have to. That's our job.
I guess. It's really a volunteer position, though.
It kind of is.
Oh, I don't know. Logic would say vengeance wins. Like, come on, people. Like,
Does it? I'll be honest with you, Andy. Based on the things that
you wrote it. I haven't ridden Gwazi yet.
So to me, here's my position. My position, see, when I wrote Iron Gwazi on Media Day, Dason and I were both talking about, oh, Iron Gwazi, the new king of Florida, after we wrote it. And what was interesting is after Media Day, I went to Universal the next day and rode Velocicoaster again at 8 o'clock in the morning. And I said, oh my God, this ride is still better than Iron Gwazi. And so I thought Iron Gwazi was the best ride in Florida for all of about 18 hours until I rode Velocicoaster again. And it's just the whole experience from Velocicoaster. So, but that's not the debate that we're having here. Not yet, anyway. Not yet,
No.
anyways. Iron Gwazi and Steel Vengeance. To me, I've always said Iron Gwazi is the first 2/3 of Steel Vengeance without the ridiculous ending of the bunny hops and the superstructure and the part of Voyage where you come off of the mid-course brake run and you come out of the triple down tunnel and then all hell just absolutely breaks loose on the Voyage. There's that point in Steel Vengeance where you come off the mid-course, you do the double up, you do the double down, and then there's that crossover hill. And to me, that crossover hill that dives into the structure, I still, every time I ride Steel Vengeance, that crossover hill that dives into the structure is the point on Steel Vengeance to me where all hell breaks loose, because the drop on the other side of that crossover hill is always so much bigger than I'm expecting it to be, because on all the other RMCs, I'm so used to that being the part of the ride where you're just doing the bullshit bunny hops at the end. And that's not where that is. And then you do that really, really powerful overbank turn over the station. And that's where you're like, okay, this ride is something special. Iron Gwazi has a powerful overbank turn like that too. The problem is Iron Gwazi ends before it gets to the barrel rolls and the bunny hops part. To me, if you were to take Iron Gwazi and Steel Vengeance and compare the similar elements, the outside bank turn, very similar on both. The Steel Vengeance has like the rising 540-degree barrel roll, whereas Iron Gwazi has the death spiral barrel roll. It's almost the reverse of the same element. I think I would argue that Iron Gwazi's element is better than Steel Vengeance's of the similar type. Iron Gwazi has a similar but bigger and faster, more powerful overbank than Steel Vengeance has. They both have stalls of a certain type. They're pretty similar. The elements that they both have in common, which is 2, 3, 4 of them, I think you could argue that Iron Gwazi does those individual elements maybe just a little bit better. The problem is Iron Gwazi is missing an entire chunk of the ride, and it's that chunk of the ride that to me still sets Steel Vengeance apart, because, and the comparison I make is it's the third half of the Voyage that sets it apart from every other wood coaster in the world. That third half on Steel Vengeance is still what sets it apart for me from Iron Gwazi. That's my analysis.
Yeah, I'm sorry I asked.
But see, that analysis comes back to Steel Vengeance being the top ride here.
Well, yeah, because it is the top ride. So critical thinking could have led us to that same point earlier.
So folks, maybe Andy's critical thinking, maybe he's onto something. I don't know.
Yeah. So realistically, I think Vengeance, then Gwazi. And then who the hell knows with Helix at this point and Twisted Timbers, because Helix obviously has jumped up. Twisted Timbers is also the interesting choice from that group, because Twisted Timbers was also like the lowest rank of those, right? So I-305 was higher, Terran was higher. So for Twisted Timbers to make it out of there is Terran higher? Yeah, it was 9. So
And then Helix was 18. So
yeah,
at this point, we're looking at Helix has gone up, right?
Helix has
Because
gone up.
I-305 and
And
Terran
Twisted
haven't dropped
Timbers
that
had to
far.
have gone up too.
Probably, right?
Well, no, because it was ranked 12, and Intimidator 305 and Terran were 9 and 10. So it
Well, but I mean,
either they had to have dropped, or in effect, Twisted Timbers had to have jumped over too.
Yeah.
Which is kind of interesting because I wouldn't have expected that to happen. So I feel like enough people have ridden that ride to know what's going on there. I don't know. Who cares? Because at this point, it's a crapshoot. All of it. You know it's Gwazi or Vengeance, and then the other two is a flip of the coin to see how high each one went.
All right. Well, we've got to rank these. Unfortunately,
That we do.
unfortunately for I feel like a lot of people. Probably about half.
Well, there's going to be some heartbreakers here because a lot of people chose Vengeance as champion. A lot of people, did anyone choose Gwazi as champion? Quite a few.
I would venture to say maybe more people selected Iron Gwazi than Steel Vengeance as their champion. A lot of people are drinking that purple Kool-Aid, man. A lot of
What is
people.
wrong with you guys?
A lot of people are on the Iron
You know
Gwazi hype
what? I
train.
hope Vengeance wins and people get exactly what they deserve here. That's what I'm hoping. Just desserts happen.
Just desserts.
Yes. I'm hoping that people get exactly what they deserve for being stupid. So let's go. Let's see.
All right. So in the number 4 position is Twisted Timbers. Don't think there's a big surprise there, except for the fact
of a surprise.
that Helix seems to have risen quite a bit here.
Helix. Some people wrote Helix and really liked it.
Well, and us jabronis are going to ride it this year. So
yeah,
who knows what it's going to
So you can just throw that ranking out no matter what.
Helix could win next year. Who knows? Helix is number 3, of course. So the debate that's been going on for over a year now, since people started riding Iron Gwazi, Steel Vengeance or Iron Gwazi, at least for the first year, we're about to settle it here, because one of these rides is moving on to the Final Four from the Ocean View Park Group, and it is Steel Vengeance from Cedar Point is still alive, Andy. That's right. Iron Gwazi is number 2 in the Ocean View Park Group. Steel Vengeance is moving on to the Final Four. And I can hear the people right now. I can hear the matches have been lit. The pitchforks are ablaze, and the angry mob is on its way.
Oh, and this bracket, this rumble from hell, still is not yet over. Oh shit. Okay. So let's just move on, right? Because we're gonna talk about that later. There's gonna be plenty of time to talk about Vengeance and Gwazi when the top 50 come out, I believe.
Yes, we do. So Untamed, Velocicoaster, Steel Vengeance, and Andy, we've got one more. We've got one more Final Four ride to talk about.
Yeah, let's go there.
All right. So final group for the evening here. We're gonna get down to our Final Four participant, and it's gonna be from the Paragon Park group, where we had Expedition G-Force, Fly, Conda, Lightning Rod, Shambhala, Skyrush, Smiler, and Wicked Cyclone. Those are this group, I think, by far of all 8 in the Thrilling 32, this to me has been the most interesting one, because we've got a little bit of everything. We've got a really, really weird ride in like Fly and Smiler. We've got the RMC and Wicked Cyclone. We've got the sort of the unexpected ride in Lightning Rod being in the Steel Coaster. We've got a very casual B&M Hyper in Shambhala. We've got like your perennial favorite, perennial top, 5, top 3, top 2, previous champion Expedition G-Force. Skyrush has had a resurgence here, and then we've got Condo, which is kind of like the Taiga, right? It's the ride that we don't really know anything about what Condo's gonna do here.
Yeah, I don't know much of anything. I know I don't like Wicked Cycle.
Well, I know that. You didn't have to tell me that.
Yeah, so that one we can just scratch off the list. Smiler always, I feel like it should be ranked higher, and it never is. So Smiler is 26 last year, so I'm assuming that one probably off the list no matter what happens here. Shambhala is another one that people like to fall in love with, but that one's always, is that even in the Thrilling 32 last year?
Shambhala?
Yeah.
Shambhala is one of those weird
21.
Okay, yeah. Shambhala is one of those weird rides that it kind of depends on the year whether or not it's like getting a valid ranking. Last couple of years it has been. And I've heard a couple people kind of poo-poo that ride and say it's nothing special, but most people say it's like 250 feet tall. It's taller than most of the B&M Hypers.
Mm-hmm.
It's not bigger than the Gigas, obviously, but it's taller than like a lot of the V-shaped ones. It's taller than all of them, I think, because it's got the V-shaped seating.
And then Fly was 19, so that's right in that mix. And then you got G-Force that should be in your top 4. You got Skyrush that should be in the top 4 because we've been talking about how we've seen the move of Skyrush moving up.
I mean, it was number 8 last year, so we've seen a lot of last year's top 10 already. But again, a lot of last year's top 10 hasn't made it through. Well, not a lot, but
yeah. Plus, I said that we've got 25 coasters in our top 10 already, so it's hard to do. So, and then Fly and Conda, like, is Fly going to stay at 19? Is that a legitimate ranking? Is Conda, we have no idea on. And Lightning Rod should even be in this poll because it's a wood coaster. So we have that issue as well. I don't know what to tell you. I'm probably going to go with G-Force, Skyrush. I like the way Conda looks. Like, Conda looks like a legit roller coaster, right?
It does. I mean, to me, it's like if you were to build Expedition G-Force today, and do some of the cool, wacky shit that some of these newer rides like the RMCs and some of the weird stuff that Intamin's doing too. I mean, like with rides like Velocicoaster and other rides. I mean, Conda does some of that. It's got that weird non-inverting Cobra roll looking turnaround. I mean, to me, I think Conda is at least deserving of a spot in the 4. I would think.
I would think so too. I think it looks like
Conda is Conda's my ride to happiness in this group. To me, it's that ride.
It should be in the 4. You are correct. And then the question becomes, is it Fly or is it Lightning Rod?
Because last year, what do we have? We had
Fly was 19.
Wicked Cyclone was 17.
And Lightning Rod was 2 on the wood side.
On the wood side, which for you wouldn't even put it in the top 32.
So you got to add 20 spots to that. So it's probably 22.
So Smiler was 26.
Well,
Shambhala was 21.
Yeah.
Fly was 19. And Wicked Cyclone was 17.
Bullshit. Bullshit. Like, come on. I refuse to even talk about that ride. So it could be ranked 2, and I'm not talking about Wicked Cyclone. I will pick it to lose every single time. That's where I'm at with that ride.
You hate that ride almost as much as Storm Chaser. Not quite, but almost.
No, I don't hate it as much as Storm Chaser, but I do find it to be vastly overranked in the history of roller coasters. Like, how it's even above some of the stuff we eliminated today is beyond my comprehension. Like
Okay.
like Twisted Cyclone's better. Hell, Joker's better at some point. Like the hell.
I might be on board with you with Twisted Cyclone. Twisted Cyclone's a damn good ride, especially for how
Good
short it
ride.
is. You
Yeah.
know that I'm sort of the first person, certainly the first person between the two of us to point out how short a ride is, and I didn't feel that way on Twisted Cyclone. I didn't care.
And it's a short ride. It's a very
It
short
is a
ride.
short ride, and I didn't care.
No, and it's a very good ride. So anyway, I digress. I'm not talking about that ride anymore.
Okay.
You can keep putting it in the poll. I refuse to talk about it. So if you guys want to see me completely no sell a ride, then keep voting it higher because I won't talk about it. So G-Force, Conda, Skyrush, Lightning Rod because people are dumb.
Oh boy. Okay, so we do have G-Force moving on. We do have Skyrush moving on. We
Mhm.
also have Conda moving on.
Okay.
So three out of three so far. Uh, Andy, you know our audience pretty well because Lightning Rod's the fourth one.
Lightning Rod's gonna win this shit.
So we've got
Why are we talking about Quasi or
Andy.
Vengeance?
If Lightning Rod wins the entire Steel bracket, there is no longer a debate that Voyage is better than Steel Vengeance.
No,
No
there
longer.
can't be.
There can't be, right?
There can't be because if Lightning Rod beats Steel Vengeance head to head, then you know what? Let's just nuke the world because we got serious issues.
Because you know what will happen? You will no longer want to do a combined list.
No. But and what's funny is that we keep talking about Gwazi being a new ride. That technically Lightning Rod is a new ride on the Steel side. Is Lightning Rod gonna capture that magic of the first year in the poll, being a new Steel coast? So
Right.
ridiculous. I don't know. I can't today. Well, let's see if it moves on to the next round because maybe we're overreacting.
Okay. All right. So you've got G-Force, Conda, Lightning Rod, Skyrush. What order are you putting?
Well, because G-Force, you have a former champion, correct?
Yep.
Like always perennially in the top, whatever. So G-Force last year was
Number 4.
So legit ranking, like
Skyrush 8.
Skyrush 8.
And then Conda and Lightning Rod, who knows?
Well, I think you can put Skyrush. I would say your two groups here, as much as I hate to say this, are G-Force Lightning Rod and then deciding between Conda and Skyrush.
Okay, so you're putting Lightning Rod 2?
Danny, I said people are stupid. Did you not hear me say that? I clearly said people are stupid. And I fear what is transpiring here. I'm actually worried that Lightning Rod walks out of this route.
This is like deja vu with Velocicoaster all over again last year, where we had this big long debate about Velocicoaster, and we were like, does Velocicoaster even make it out of the group, or does it win the whole thing? And it won the whole thing, and now we just spent the last like 5 minutes talking about, does Lightning Rod even get out of the group, or could it win the whole thing? And now you're like thinking about it.
I don't think it gets out of the group. I think it's going to go G-Force, Lightning Rod, Conda, Skyrush, Conda, Skyrush. The European coasters have been strangely doing well this evening. I'm going to do Conda, Skyrush. G-Force, Lightning Rod, Conda, Skyrush.
Okay. All right. Well, in the number 4 slot is Skyrush.
Okay.
So good on you right there. In the number 3 slot is Lightning Rod.
What? Okay. Well, okay. So we're not dealing with complete morons here. I just got a taste for blueberry pancakes, by the way.
Oh, okay. Well, that's interesting. That's
and
interesting.
Not any blueberry pancakes. I got a taste for the blueberry pancakes that come in the shaker bottle just now.
Right.
Oh, sorry. I started talking about pancakes because now we're talking about European coasters. I no longer care.
Right. Well, you did say the European coasters have been doing oddly well this evening, and
Well, yeah.
categorically, you've ended on a correct note because they're the top two now.
Yeah.
All right. So we've got to figure out which ride is moving on.
G-Force Condo, right? Like it has, like, I don't know.
Well, and I mean, is this kind of what we were looking at before, where we had Jurassic World Velocicoaster and Taiga, and the question was like, former champion. Well, I guess Jurassic World Velocicoaster is the champion right now, but a former champion, last year, and a brand new ride that we have no history on, and G4 same thing, a former champion back in 2016. Yeah, 2016, and then Condo ride we know nothing about. Um, so moving on and getting the final spot in our final four in this year's thrilling 32 Coaster Rumble from the Paragon Park Group is from Europe. It's made by Intamin. It's Conda from Wallaby, Belgium. Conda to the final four, Andy. Expedition G-Force number 2, Lightning Rod number 3, and Sky Rush. So, Andy, our steel final four: Untamed from Wallaby Holland, not Fury 325 from Carowinds, Jurassic World Velocicoaster. I think people saw that one coming.
Yeah.
Steel Vengeance from Cedar Point, not Iron Gwazi, and Kinda from Wallaby, Belgium, not Expedition G-Force. Untamed, Velocicoaster, Steel Vengeance, and Conda. I'll tell you what.
How many people had Conda? I can't imagine a lot.
This looks like a damn good Final Four, and somehow I think a lot of people have 3 of the 4 wrong, which is the crazy.
I think you're right.
Because how many people had Fury over Untamed? How many people had Gwazi over Steel Vengeance, and how many people had G-Force over Conda?
Yeah. Yeah, you are absolutely right. Like, I can't wait to see the end to see a percentage of people that actually have these final four, because I can't imagine that. Has anyone chosen Conda?
Let's look here. I had to reload the spreadsheet
because I just can't see people. I can see people choosing Steel Vengeance. I might even be able to see people choosing Untamed over Fury. Okay. But Conda over all of that?
Okay, so the question is, the ranking is how many people had Conda ranked number 1 in that group?
Yeah.
Let's see. Sky Rush, G-Force, Lightning Rod. Someone was thinking that. G-Force, lots of G-Forces, lots of Lightning Rod. Oh, there's one Conda.
What?
G-Force, a Sky Rush. There's another Conda, a Lightning Rod, a G-Force, lots of Wicked Cyclone. Okay, thanks for playing. Other G-Force. So as of the time of recording, we've only got 2 people who selected Conda to win this.
That's actually really shocking to me that 2 people have done that.
I'm a little surprised that 2 people got it.
Yeah, exactly. It's shocking. Like that 2 people said, "Oh yeah, that's the way I'm going to go on this one." But that being said, if you use critical thinking like I do, Conda's probably your choice in this group. Conda is the correct answer.
You think so?
Yeah, I think it looks better than G-Force.
I think it does too.
I think it looks better.
I am not looking at how this last group went and saying, wow, the voters kind of have a screwy ride.
No, I'm like, no, that's probably the right answer. It's the surprising answer, but it's also the right answer. So
I think so too. I mean, if I look at those 8 rides, I look and say, yeah, Conda. Yeah. I mean, the most interesting ride in that entire group is Fly. But when I look at all of those rides and what they are, I say, yeah, Conda looks like it's probably the best one out of that group. So now we shift gears to the final four. So last time we had the Wood final four, Ghost Rider, Voyage, El Toro, and Outlaw Run. Now we've got Untamed, Velocicoaster, Steel Vengeance, and Conda. If you were to say like last year that this was the Final Four, I think, a lot of people have been like, okay, it makes sense. This year, I think this is a Final Four that nobody was expecting to get. And
No.
pretty clearly because almost nobody had Conda straight away. And I don't think a lot of people, had Fury losing to Untamed either. And like we said earlier, a lot of people have Iron Gwazi beating Steel Vengeance. So, this is just an absolute mess for a lot of people right now.
And it doesn't get any easier. I think traditional logic would put you at Vengeance and Velocicoaster, a rematch, if you will.
Okay, so you're thinking Velocicoaster Vengeance rematch here? You're not giving Conda any chance as like a new ride?
I don't think Conda. I think it's a good ride. But if voters would now put Conda over Steel Vengeance, you've now become wrong. The correct answer has now become the incorrect answer. So
okay, so then on the other side, are you giving Untamed any chance to pull off the upset on Velocicoaster, defending champ? Untamed's been slipping down a little bit, but I mean, so it was number 5 last year. But I mean, we've seen the rides that win come down a little bit. Untamed has been really, really close to the win before, so I don't think you can rule it out.
You can't rule anything out this year, apparently. So
what you can rule out right now is Iron Gwazi isn't winning. So I think about 60% of the people who submitted brackets.
Oh, it's so sad. All those Florida people that hate
that purple Kool-Aid isn't coming out very nice on the other end, is it?
No, looking more like the Heaven's Gate Kool-Aid at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I think both matchups, both the wood and the steel, have a clear answer. Well, the steel side, I think, has 2 clear answers. I think the wood side is the only question mark.
If it has 2 clear answers, it doesn't have an answer.
Yeah. I know what the answer is. Well, I'm more interested to see the nonsense that happened at the championship personally.
Well, yeah. So, all right. So we've got Ghost Rider against Voyage, El Toro against Outlaw Run, Untamed against Jurassic World Velocicoaster, and Steel Vengeance against Conda in our Final Four this year. You know what, Andy? I'll say this after going through this. We've been doing this for a long time now. This is the 11th year of the Thrilling 32. This, I think, is the most interesting year that we've had, because I think for the first time, you and I kind of talked about this before, there's not really a lot of bullshit, crappy rides anymore, especially on the steel side. The wood side has become a little bit stale because we haven't had a lot of new coasters, but I mean, we don't have 7 B&M Hypers anymore, and the B&M Hypers are great roller coasters, but we've got so many new and different types of rides, like your Taigas, like your Flies, like your Asian Ikas, like your Condas. I mean, Conda is, even though it's the same type of ride in a hyper coaster, it doesn't really have inversions. Conda is such a more interesting ride, just visually, because of some of the things it does compared to like a B&M Hyper, like a Mako or a Behemoth or a Diamondback. And those are all great rides. But I mean, this has been a really, really interesting year.
And yet I would take a lot of those rides over Wicked Cyclone. So there you go.
Well, I would take a lot of those rides over Twisted Colossus too. So, and we would take Raptor, and I would take Manta over any of them. So
we don't want to get into that debate tonight. We have to stop this program one more time.
That's another show for Arthur Poor and Raymond Mann altogether.
Yeah. Send that one to Patreon. Raptor Manta 3.
There we go. We've run out of friends that we've alienated from moderating that.
Honestly. Robert Raptor will be the next moderator probably by the time he.
Oh, there we go.
Yeah. Maybe you'll have a kid too by then. Who knows?
That's not gonna
happen. So we'll post the rankings in the Facebook group for you guys because, like we said, we haven't closed the polls yet. So the votes are still coming in. Plus, you gotta wait for the mail-in votes and for the electronic votes and for the people who voted 3 times to wait for all those tallies to come in as well. So we will post that in the Facebook group, or if you ask us in the $10 Patreon, you can definitely ask us there, and we might get it to you. So,
yeah.
Plus, the other thing,
If you're nice, if we like you, and even if we like you,
you might
even if
also
we
be able
like
to
you,
watch
which
me
is
on
a rare
on
occurrence
Twitch
these
too.
days.
I started streaming on Twitch for the Patreon, so that's kind of cool.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And even if we do like you, which is a rare occurrence these days, if we're not in a good mood, we probably won't send it to you either.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. We're not very nice.
Oh boy. Any final thoughts from you on the Steel Coasters here? We this was an exciting night and and a very interesting night. Surprising night.
Yeah, this one had some twists and turns in it, and we all kind of thought that there might be some, but I think there's some twists and turns that we weren't even ready to expect, like Conda. What the hell?
Well, Untamed and Conda, I think, are the big ones, right? I mean, this is where we thought that there would be some zigzags tonight with the Steel Coasters, but I think we got a zig when we thought there'd be a zag, because I think we thought Iron Gwazi might be going through, but it was Steel Vengeance going through, and I think we thought Fury and G-Force were probably going through, and instead we got Untamed and Conda, and Taiga surprised me too. To be completely honest with you, Taiga was a big surprise to me. Lightning Rod was a surprise to me. So we certainly had our fair share of interesting discussion. I mean, Helix, for God's sakes. Being in the 4 in that group. I mean, we certainly got our fair share of surprise tonight, and Zadra out altogether early. People talking about Zadra being a Final 4 candidate, a top 5 candidate, and it was crossed off the board by the Beast about 6 minutes into tonight. So.
Yeah, that's that's been some crazy stuff here tonight. So maybe we'll see some more crazy stuff in the Final 4. I don't know.
We'll
but
see.
The only way to find out is to watch it. So we'll see you next week. Maybe who knows?
Yeah, so I'm Danny Miller from Binghamton, New York.
And you're Barchak from Chicago, Illinois.
Thanks for watching the Thrilling 32, guys.
As always, right on, Ride Warriors.
Thanks. See you next time.